Hello. Earlier today, I did a video about Prince Andrew because obviously there are loads of scandals going on at the moment, sexual things going on about him, and there's this Ghislaine Maxwell, also her court case going on in America, and her, obviously she is now producing evidence about people who she was actually grooming young girls for. And it seems that allegedly Prince Andrew might have been one of the people. Gosh, it must be so embarrassing for the royal family. But sometimes these people who are so high up, they think they're above the law, above everything, and they can just do anything and they get away with it. So do you know what? Happy days. And at the end of the day, I think this is a crime against young people. So this is absolutely awful. And he's a mature man. He should know better. He's also supposed to be, part of your royal family, setting good standards. So I'm not at all, because I have a daughter and I just think that that's just awful. So, but I don't want to judge because we don't really know the truth about everything. But I can't see how the royal family in the UK are going to survive this. This is going to be a massive scandal. I don't even think most of it has come out yet. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Things will come out. So there is a video I've just posted that I put out this morning regarding Prince Andrew. I think Prince Andrew is done. He's in a really bad dasha, and also the transits are very difficult for him because he's a Cancer ascendant and he's got this literally everything is happening between his first and seventh axis at the moment, with Saturn, Sun and Mercury retrograde right across from his ascendant. So it's not very good for him. His female planet, so it's just like how he feels about women generally. They're not very good. His moon is debilitated, pretty much very close, like just over 2 degrees of Scorpio, and 3 degrees is the actual degree of debilitation for the moon. So that moon in a man's chart is very, very telling about how they are about women. And it's in a secretive house, in his fifth house of fun, and it is debilitated, so. And also he has Venus. You'll see, I mean, let's share his chart anyway. Let's have a look at his chart first, and then we look at Prince Charles's one. So here we are. Get rid of me. So you can see, here we are. So he's Ashlesha ascendant nakshatra in Cancer, and First Lord is in the fifth house, is debilitated, and even Venus is very close degree to Venus. And this is where Mars is really strong, and Venus normally does quite well there, but because the actual dispositor of Venus, Saturn, is actually not in a good condition either. So it goes to show that there are lots of difficulties there. So I did explain earlier that Venus and Mercury, they're Vipad and Pratyak nakshatras for, planets for him. So they create a lot of difficulties. And so obviously it's going to be, I think it's going to be even more difficult for him when Saturn, which is now on Capricorn, on his Mars and on his Venus, which is really pushing down on him from, this is seventh house, is your public image. And we see him as Venus Mars, because Venus Mars in certain conditions is not too bad, shows that somebody's quite passionate. But in Uttara Shada, Venus doesn't do very well there. It's to do with the sun. And this is normally politicians have that, very successful people. And it's a very single-minded, triumphant nakshatra. It doesn't have any, as I said, any partners. It's the animal symbol is actually mongoose. And so it's like, in your seventh house, so it's not very good, and it doesn't really say very much about how he feels about ladies generally. And that Venus again, you can see where it goes in the third house for him. third house in, generally speaking, for, you know, Vedic astrology, is not a very good house, really. So, yeah, because it's also, you know, it's a difficult house. You've got to put a lot of effort into it. It's also 8 houses from 8th house, so it's serious scandal house as well, if you like. So very, very difficult. And so his Venus is in the 3rd house again with Mars, and Moon again. You know, it's in a difficult situation. It's in the 8th house, and Ashlesha is a very sexual nakshatra. Is in the 8th house with K2, and also aspected by Saturn as well. So yeah, it's not looking very good, really. In all fairness, not good at all. So anyway, I have explained quite a lot of this in the earlier ones, but Mars is also his GK planet, so this is going to create a lot of issues. It's got 6th, 8th, and 12th house effects for him, and he's sitting with his Venus. So again, not very good. So he could be quite contrary to what we think of him at home. He could be quite a difficult character, really. I mean, we don't know, but it's just presumably this is how we see him. And if we look at his chart also from Mercury, which is his Atmakarka, you can see that Venus is in the 12th house with Mars. So this is all the bed pleasures and everything. So yeah, it's not looking great. And from the Moon again, Venus is 3rd house. So it's, again, very, very difficult. And so, yeah, not looking great. So I think this Venus Mercury, there is a possibility that he could actually be sentenced. Can't see how he's going to get away with that, really. So let's have a look at Prince Charles. I have already done a video about Prince Charles where I did say that I didn't think he would be the future king, because although everything looks very good for him, that he could possibly be, his Yoga Karka planet is in the 5th house of royalty, I just didn't think it's going to happen. And the reason being, he has had the 4th of December, we had this solar eclipse, was right on his Yoga Karka in his 5th house. Really, again, very much saying about what is to come. And we had Mercury, Moon, and the Sun, and K2, all of them there in Scorpio, but apart from K2, the rest of them were in Jyotish, and Mercury itself was sitting on there. So Mercury is telling us that there's going to be some form of stuff coming out about him. 12th stuff, which is secret, 3rd house stuff, which is, again, things that needs to be communicated out. So I don't know, it didn't look very good, but the videos are there and I will bring them out. And I just can't see, because the other reason is as well, he is UK. We can just have a quick look at UK actually. So he's a Cancer ascendant, wasn't he? So for UK, he becomes he's a Cancer ascendant. So again, what happens is the ascendant for the UK is 3 houses away from his ascendant, and it's not a very good sign for him. So again, it's difficult. This is not going to. And look, there's K2 there on UK's ascendant, and if you go to Prince Charles, so it puts because what happens here is Venus rules for him the 4th house, which is homeland, and is debilitated in the 3rd house, and UK's K2 is right on it. So I can't see how this is going to get rectified, even though I know there's like a 3rd and 4th house thing going on there. But honestly, I really can't see how it's going to work. Can't see that at all. And also his own Atmakarka sun is also debilitated in the 4th house. So it's just not in keeping with the UK chart. So definitely Prince Charles, I can't see that he's going to be able to, you know, capture that, become the king. And Andrew, I think it's just going to be just far too much going on with Andrew for him to be able to rectify anything, you know, in terms of the UK. But let's have a look at his Prince Charles's, because we don't know if any of this that's happened about Andrew, if it's, you know, where is, you know, Charles's part in all of this? You know, how does he feel? We've had no feedback about it whatsoever. It seems as though the whole royal family and the household has gone really, really quiet. So let's have a look and just see what's going on now with Prince Charles's Dasha. So I'm going to show you. Oh, I haven't got it up. 1 second. Sorry, just going to bring this up. Okay, so let's have a look. Here we are. So Prince Charles is Ashwini moon, and he is now, I think it was Jupiter Venus, just quickly check. Yeah, Jupiter Venus. So he is, for him, Jupiter is a very difficult planet. This could bring like 12th house stuff, maybe not one. So it's, you can see endings, vanquisher, and death. So it's it doesn't necessarily mean death in terms of death necessarily, but who knows. But also there'll be endings, completions, and expenses as well. So he obviously Jupiter is not very good for him. Venus also is not too bad. It's his Sampat, which is like 2nd and 11th house. So you can give him some gains in terms of, so, you know, I mean, if he was in keeping with his Dasha, his chart and transit, I would say yes, there's a possibility that he could actually get this, but I just can't see it happening. And also his Vinashika, which is like his downfall nakshatra, 22nd nakshatra in the 28th nakshatra system, is Abhijit. And Abhijit, let's just stop sharing this one. Just gonna very quickly have a look at. So yeah, so Abhijit for him is obviously is the downfall one, but it just kind of doesn't exist because it's supposed to be in Capricorn and it resides within 6 degrees 40 to 10 degrees 53 of Capricorn. But it doesn't kind of exist because it was just like, it was one of those nakshatras that was taken out. So let's have a look and see what goes on with his chart and Abhijit. So here we are. So right now we can see that actually in his Navamsha, you can see that he has Ketu, which is in the 4th house of homeland, in what would be, although it's Uttarashada, but it's actually Uttarashada embraces Abhijit. So you can see that. So I actually, honestly, for the life of me, I can't imagine that he's ever going to be the king. I can't see it, I absolutely can't. Because even in his like Navamsha, 12th and 9th lord, which is Mercury, is in the 4th house, but it's the 12th lord, you know, so that will not give him what we think. As so in the 5th house of royalty, so I just cannot see that really, to be honest, you know. So 9th house also will be like lineage and all of that. Just can't see that happening. And in terms of his what will be his D10. So you can see right now in his 7th house, and 7th house is 10th from 10th. So, and it's very important, like public image in terms of, so people don't really take to him in terms of that, you know, because Ketu is the 5th lord, which is all to do with nobility and royalty, beg your pardon for that, is actually in the 7th house. And So, this is what people just have not really connected with him. So I can't actually see how somebody like that will become the King of England. And also, I don't normally use Neptune, Uranus, or Pluto. But there you go. You see, he's a bit of like an enigma to people. And I think literally British people, excuse me, have never ever forgiven him for what happened to Princess Diana. Just have never forgiven him. So that's another thing too that could be an issue for him, clearly. And what will happen also is in the skies we've had the dealer of all the what you might call like the karmas, which is Saturn, has been sitting in his 7th house. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry about that. In his 7th house. So people feel cold about him, they don't feel as though he's very available to us, and then disconnected to him. In his 4th house of like homeland, in his excuse me, in his D9, and again in the 7th house again, when it comes to his D10, which is his career and how we see him, working for his career and status. So it doesn't really look good. And what will happen actually for him is, because UK is, here we are, there's UK. UK has, as you can see, we are like Virgo ascendant, and we got K2 on there. And Prince Charles, obviously, is his 3rd house, so it's not a good house. They don't actually, the two, Cancer and Virgo, Moon and Mercury don't get on, so it's not really love match or anything like that. And his 10th house, where his ascendant lord is actually, and his moon and the same thing, are not in keeping with the what do you call it, with the United Kingdom chart. So because it falls into United Kingdom, his 10th house is UK's 8th house, so it's really not in keeping with each other at all. So yeah, that could be difficult as well. So I just cannot see that this is going to really work out for him. And not only that, his right now, Venus is helping him drastically because Jupiter is not giving an easy time. But when he goes into Jupiter's Sun in 2023, which I know is July, it's a long way off yet, but it just gets worse for him then. So I really cannot see it. And the planet also that gives him a lot of difficulties is Saturn, as Saturn is sitting in his 2nd house. And all Saturn's nakshatras are very difficult for him also. So, and he himself his ascendant is in Pushya, and look, is in his D1, and here we have Pushya for Rahu in his what would be his 10th house, which is again very difficult. And the other ones that are, and also Uttara Bhadrapada is another one of Saturn's one, and that's in his 6th house. So that's again really, really difficult. And then we have, and this is the seventh Lord going there, so that's quite difficult. And then in this chart, in his D10, it kind of falls, although there are no planets as such in his chart, but his 5th house is Anuradha is there, as Ketu has been sitting in his 5th house of his D10, which is like that definitely is not going to allow him to have it. And then after that, it will go into his 4th house in April this year. So again, that's definitely not going to allow him to be the king, because it cuts off the 4th house of his D10. So that's going to be difficult. And the other nakshatras, the other one of so we also got like in his 9th house, because that is like his lineage, his you know, his dad and his like all those legacies things, Uttara Bhadrapada in the 9th house. Again, that's a difficult for him, as is Pushya in his 1st house. So I actually cannot see that. And if you look in his D10, first lord is in the 10th house. So, and also the ruler of his ascendant nakshatra Purnavasu is Jupiter, and that's in the 8th house. So just cannot see it happening. So let's have a very quick look whilst the video is running and have a look at Queen Elizabeth, because obviously, beg your pardon, just change that. So I have, you know, when I did the lunar eclipse in November, I think in November 2021, Moon was at exactly 3 degrees in her 5th house. So saying that obviously that's going to activate a lot of things for him. And it's funny because that that moon was right opposite Andrew's moon. Look at that, where that lunar eclipse occurred. But anyway, let's go back. So again, that is all to do with royalty, isn't it? That's just all about like, oh, what's happening, you know. And so right now, Queen has Saturn, Sun, and Mercury all sitting on her ascendant, which cannot be easy. Must be quite difficult, really. So also, the other thing is too, her moon in Ashlesha is directly on Prince Andrew's ascendant in Ashlesha. It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? So they say that, you know, he is her favorite son as such. So, and what will happen, I think now, so literally with Saturn sitting right on these is probably giving them a lot of pressure. And what will happen is Saturn will be going into Aquarius soon, in April, end of April, this 2022. And this is the 5th lord is in the 2nd house, which is normally a very good done yoga, but by the sheer fact that Saturn is going to be there on the 5th lord, I think that's going to be a bit problematic for their royal household as well. So these are all going to be very, very difficult. Yep. So anyway, we'll watch and see what happens. But I could definitely see that, you know, whereas like the Queen's ascendant is quite trinal with UK's Virgo ascendant, it's definitely not the case with Prince Andrew or Prince Charles. So I wonder if this is the beginning of UK becoming a republic, because there'll be nobody there to take over the throne. And I don't think Prince William has ever talked about it. Actually, if you like, we just have a quick look at that. If you like, let's just see what Prince William's. Let's have a look at his chart and see what. Why not? You're here now. Might as well have a look at this. So there we go. Prince William. What's happening? So he's actually Sagittarius ascendant. So again, he's not that in keeping with UK's. UK is Virgo ascendant, so his ascendant has got K2 on it. So again, he's not going to be where the homeland is. He has got K2, so he's definitely not interested in that. But in the sense that he's got from UK's Virgo ascendant, he has Sun and Moon and Rahu in the 10th house. But I think he has said many a times that he would not be interested. And also, if you look, although Sun in the 10th house will be good for this, you know, if we're looking. However, Sun for Virgo ascendant is not good because it's the 12th lord. So yeah, can't actually see that happening at all either. And we can just have a look and just see what, you know, his D10 is like. So his D10, that's interesting, isn't it? Because he has his ascendant in Abhijit as well in his D10. I know it's Uttara Shada, but the degrees is that one. So that's quite interesting. And right now, Saturn is sitting on his Venus, because Venus is the 5th lord of his, yeah. So I can't see that happening. Just cannot see it in any way. And the dispositor of his Saturn is in the 12th house. Yeah. So and you know, Jupiter is not a good planet sitting with Saturn there, because Jupiter is the third and the 12th lord sitting. So the first lord is sitting with the 12th lord. So I will be losses. So no, I absolutely cannot see that happening at all. So that's it, folks. So we'll watch and wait and see what happens. So only time will tell, but it's very interesting times for the royal family. Take care. Bye-bye.